Our gospel text of today is from Mark chapter 10, verses 46 to 52, and is about the miracle of the healing of a blind man. The text tells us that Jesus is on his way to Jerusalem. And Jesus knows very clearly that Jerusalem is the place where he will be rejected, where he will be condemned, where he will suffer and die, and yet he is determined to go because that is God's will, and he is resolute. Even as his gaze is fixed towards Jerusalem, he hears a blind beggar. And this beggar, who is named Bartimaeus, is externally blind. He does not have sight with the eyes of his head. But even as he is externally blind, when he asks, because he hears the commotion, he hears the noise, when he asks who is passing by and is told that it is Jesus of Nazareth, that is the human title used for Jesus, Bartimaeus knows that it is not Jesus of Nazareth, but it is the son of David. The son of David is a messianic title. The Messiah, the Christos, the anointed one of God, was meant to be from the lineage of David. And that is why son of David was a very, very important title. So even though blind Bartimaeus, physically blind, is told that it is Jesus of Nazareth, he does not use the name Jesus of Nazareth. He uses the term Jesus, son of David. So what Mark is telling us is that Bartimaeus may have been physically blind, but he has eyes of his heart. He is able to see with insight. He is able to see with his inner disposition who this Messiah is. And the people shush him. The people will not allow Bartimaeus to speak. The people consider Jesus as the important rabbi, and the rabbi must have silence. He cannot be disturbed. But even as they do that, and even as Jesus hears the cry of Bartimaeus, he invites him. And now the people change. The people have a change of mind, and they draw Bartimaeus to the Lord. Even as Bartimaeus comes to the Lord, he throws off his cloak. The throwing of the cloak can mean a number of things. It can mean that he is willing to give up his attachments. He is going to go to the Lord completely detached. The cloak was possibly what he used for his begging, to collect the coins and other things which people would drop into his lap as he sat by the roadside. So by throwing up the cloak, he is also expressing faith, even before the miracle can occur, that he will not need his cloak any longer, because he will be able to see now also with the eyes of his head, physical sight. And he springs up. The springing up is also an indication of his availability. He hears the call and he responds to that call with alacrity, with enthusiasm, with optimism, with faith. And even as he comes, the Lord, who always remains a gentleman, asks him, "What do you want me to do for you?" And someone might say, could not the Lord see that he was blind? Of course, the Lord could see that he was blind, but the Lord would not assume that Bartimaeus wanted to receive his physical sight. The Lord would let Bartimaeus say what he wanted. And then for the second time, even though he does not have physical sight, for the second time, he uses the same messianic title, son of David. And he wants to see. He wants to receive his sight. And the Lord attributes the healing to his faith. Faith here is very clearly believing before the event could occur that it would, and that is shown in the enthusiasm of Bartimaeus when he springs up and in the throwing of his cloak, which he would not need. And this is confirmed when in the last verse of the gospel text of today we are told that after receiving his sight in an instant at the word of Jesus and because of his faith, Bartimaeus followed him on the way. And this way is the way of Jesus, is the way of discipleship, which possibly will be the way of the cross. Will I, like Bartimaeus, follow Jesus on his